Following the breaking news that Microsoft had purchased Activision and Blizzard last week, Sony decided to make some moves, man. So let's break it down. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, so like I said, big things happened in the world of gaming last week, and the big news was, and I talked about this quite a bit, is that Microsoft purchased, a massive purchase of $60 billion when it bought off Activision, and, well, it's in the works. It's still not 100% through, but it's basically through, but they bought off Activision and Blizzard Studios, opening up the plethora of their their plethora of intellectual properties quite a bit. And so opening up also the possibility of having a whole bunch of exclusives and a whole bunch of some of the world's best artists, adding it to their collection. So now Sony has done something completely different. Sony has answered that. Now, if you remember last week, I said that Sony's going to have to do something because they just took it in the teeth. And they lost $20 billion when that thing was announced. So Sony had to make some moves, and they finally made some moves, and it looks like they're going to be purchasing Bungie, which is the studio who originally created the Halo franchise. Now, before I get into all that stuff, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. Streaming this week, it's gonna be a weird week, man. It's gonna be a weird week. So actually, the next week's gonna be weird too, because my schedule's kind of in flux. But good things are happening, I think. Hopefully, let's see how it goes. If you want to send me something privately, you can always do that on Instagram at Super Dario World and at Dario SDW. So let's get into it. And before, actually, there's a couple of pieces of news that are video game related that I want to get into it before the Sony thing. So let's get this one out of the way real quick. So it's been announced that Mortal Kombat will be getting a sequel. Now, for those of you who don't remember, Mortal Kombat movie came out last year, and it sucked. It was terrible. So supposedly there's going to be a Mortal Kombat 2 in the works with Moon Knight's Jeremy Slater to write it. So it's going to be the writer of Moon Knight. But here's the issue. The movie fucking sucked. It was terrible. It's just a waste of money. They can't seem to figure out video game movies, and I don't get it, because the first Mortal Kombat was pretty good. All they kind of had to do was focus on the fighting, and this one, they just didn't do it. They completely changed Scorpion's storyline, so it's been announced. Who knows if it's even going to happen? I hope it doesn't, because it was terrible, and it's just a waste of money, but whatever. It's their money. They can do whatever they want. Another kind of interesting video game news is that The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, announced that he is developing a new video game movie. So, this is something that he said via his $7 production company. It's confirmed that they are currently developing a new video game movie, which will be revealed sometime this year, even though he didn't reveal the name of the video game that he's working on. So he claims that he described it as one of the biggest, most badass games, and that will be coming to screen. I can't tell you which game in particular we're doing, but there will be an announcement this year. We're going to bring one of the biggest, most badass games to the screen, one that I've played for years. I'm really excited to bring it to fans around the world. Of course, we're going to be doing right by our gamer friends, but really, we're just going to make a great movie. So, all right, fair enough. If I would have heard that immediately, I would have said Doom, except that he's already been in Doom, and Doom kind of sucked. So if I have to guess, maybe, if The Rock's going to be starring in it, I would assume, I don't know, Duke Nukem seems like it would be like an interesting fit. Maybe. What else could be okay for The Rock? The Rock, like big personality, big dude. Probably maybe he could be Kratos in God of War. That could be interesting. Honestly, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say God of War. If I have to guess, I'm just gonna say God of War right off the top of my head. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, usually video game movies have not been that successful. His resume is not that great. Rampage was all right. Doom was not that great. Except the final part where it's actually like you're watching a first person thing, and the Jumanji, I guess Jumanji counts kind of like a video game movie because they're doing stuff in video games, but I don't know. I don't know if I would count it as a video game movie at all, but whatever. The point is, shaky track record, but whatever. whatever. That's the big game news that I wanted to get out of the way. Now let's get into the interesting stuff, which is Sony purchasing Bungie Studio, or Studio Bungie. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sony is basically the creators of the PlayStation. So that's the biggest competition out there. I think the PS2 still hold the record for the most consoles sold of all time. Maybe. Point is, big household name. PlayStation. People love it. They play video games on it. It's great. Studio Bungie is the original developer of the Halo franchise. Microsoft's biggest name yet. Now, after Halo Reach, it took the franchise got taken over by 343, and so what's it going to 343? I don't know. The point is, they stopped doing Halo and they moved on to creating Destiny. Now, is Destiny as good as Halo? I don't think so. Personally, I don't know why they walked away from it. Maybe creative differences. Maybe they want to try new things. But this is very interesting. Like I said, so Microsoft just made a massive move. They bought Activision, they bought Blizzard, and Sony had to take it in the teeth because after that announcement was made by their biggest competition, they lost $20 billion in the stock market, just like that. Now, it's going to recover after this, but they needed to make a move. I told you, Sony's going to have to respond somehow, and this is our response. Now, I don't think this is going to be the last of their moves, but it's kind of a big one. So, the deal comes at a cost of $3.6 billion for Sony, and now Bungie will be a part of PlayStation Studios. And let me see. So, the studio says the move is part one of Bungie becoming a global multimedia entertainment company, and that it will continue to independently publish and creatively develop its titles. So, that's interesting. A global multimedia entertainment company. That means that it could be also movies, TV shows, YouTube stuff. I don't know. You could do a whole bunch of variety stuff. So, this is honestly, I think this is actually better for Bungie than it is for Sony. Basically, Bungie is getting a whole bunch of money from Sony to do more stuff, which is pretty good. I mean, as long as Sony doesn't interfere too much with what they're doing. The issue is that, has Bungie been doing great since Halo? They're doing okay. Destiny is just not as good as Halo was, unfortunately. It just doesn't, but I guess what happens when you do things independently, it's not as great as when you have all the Microsoft money behind you. But here's what CEO Pete Pearson said on the Bungie website. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play. With SIE support, the most immediate change you can see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious vision. If this speaks to you and you want to help us put a dent in the universe, we are hiring across all disciplines for Destiny 2 and for all new worlds beyond. So, he goes on to state, SIE believes that the game worlds are only the beginning of our ISP, of what our ISP can become. Together, we share a dream of creating and fostering iconic franchises that unite friends around the world, families across generations, and fans across multiple platforms and entertainment mediums. More than anything, SIE understands that, SIE would be Sony, understands that our people and our community are both the priority and the heart of our success, and are willing to stand alongside us as we continue to use our platform to drive action towards a more welcoming and equitable world. Our goal is to build a place where the world's most creative and talented people can come and do their best work, no matter who they are, where they're from, or how they identify. So there's a whole bunch of bullshit in there, but whatever, it doesn't matter. They said a lot of very interesting stuff. First off, it sounds like Bungie will still be creating games for all platforms, so maybe they won't be just PlayStation exclusives, which is a little weird, honestly, or maybe PlayStation's planning on expanding. Who knows? The way that I saw this going originally after, the thing that Microsoft has the Game Pass. And so with that, they're going to control the market massively. They're going to have a whole bunch of production studios. And they're going to make a whole bunch of games, but they could be crappy games. So Sony has the opportunity of kind of becoming more like a boutique shop, like where you make the custom stuff or where you make the high quality stuff. And so if it controls exclusive games and they're really good games, it's going to be fine. It's going to still hold the share of the market. Sony in general has kind of been more for that type of gamer anyway. The ones that look for a different type of experience. That's why it has a whole bunch of exclusive titles. that feels. But honestly, in terms of exclusives, Sony's always had the edge there. It just has better franchises now. They've been expanding, and some of those franchises have been going to other consoles. But overall, it still corners that share of the market. It still has the better exclusives. So will it continue to do that? It's not a bad direction to go on. It has to expand into the Game Pass. It has to create its own form of Game Pass, I think, if it actually wants to be competitive. But this is not a bad move. Like, especially because it sounds that Bungie wants to create like let's say, for example, you're creating Destiny, right? And you built all this lore behind it. Then you create a comic book or a novel or a podcast like they did with Halo, with the Halo podcast that I always talk about, Hunt the Truth. So it could make it a more interesting experience, and Sony has a bunch of different very interesting franchises that they could do a lot of stuff with, like the Final Fantasy. You imagine all the stuff they could do with Final Fantasy. I guess it's no longer as exclusive anymore, but I mean, they own the Spider-Man franchise. They could do a bunch of stuff with Spider-Man, and I think that's the thing that's gonna keep it afloat. They got God of War. They got The Last of Us, which now sucks, but whatever. So they got, and now they have Bungie. So they have a lot of titles that they can work with, and they can do fun stuff. The thing is, what you gonna do, Sony? It's how you gonna play this one? Because, like I said, Microsoft made a massive move. Microsoft's investing $60 billion. Sony's putting in 3.6. Now, the return on investment might actually be better for Sony because they might get more bang for their buck in this particular department. It all depends on what Bungie wants to do. It sounds like like I said, the winner here is Bungie, because they're going to get a whole bunch of money. They're going to hire a whole bunch of people, and they're going to have an aggressive expansion. Sony, will they reap the benefits, or will it end up just being like a money lost? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But if Bungie can go back to its roots and give PlayStation it's a good exclusive first-person shooter, that might be a massive game changer, because I think that's what Sony's missing in the exclusives department, like a solid first-person shooter. Because it's got platformers up the wazoo, third person, all right, all that stuff. But I can't think of an exclusive for the PlayStation that's just next level. So if Bungie can give him that, and it could be like a direct competition to Halo, it could be, it could put them over the edge, because people love first-person shooters. They're extremely popular, and that might be enough for them to compete with Microsoft and the Game Pass, because again, it has better exclusives, so it could be more of the boutique. But people like boutiques. People go there. Like, what would you rather play? 100 bad games or one great game? It's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy choice. So it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I don't think this is the last of their moves. My argument is you can't lose $20 billion and then just stay at home and be like, oh well, I lost $20. No, you got to make some moves. This is step one, and it sounds like this one's actually more solid than the Activision Blizzard deal. So all right, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how Sony keeps doing. I think this overall, this is really great for the customers, because the more the companies compete, the better deals that we get. So if Sony comes out with its own kind of Game Pass equivalent, then we're saving money, and we get to play more games that might be better games. So overall, not hating this. I'm liking the way that technology is going. I'm liking the way the industry is going. Good people have left bad studios and starting up their own thing. Big companies are starting the Game Pass thing where they save customers money. So, all right, fun. We'll see how it goes. So far, I don't see many negatives to the customer, and since I'm a customer, it's all I really care about. So that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World, streaming live sometimes, because these next 2 weeks, honestly, it's gonna be weird. I don't be surprised if I just pre-record most of it, except maybe Thursday. I might actually do it, but whatever, we'll see how it goes. If you want to send me something privately, you can do that on Instagram at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.